Coming up on this episode, I talk about action versus inaction and how this plays onto your day-to-day life. How these small actions can pay forward onto your time and pay forward onto life in a much bigger way than we initially presume. So let's get into it. What's going on, beautiful people? This is the Perspective Chasers podcast, and I'm your host, John. On this episode, I want to talk about action versus inaction. I'm going to start simply with an experience from today that is incredibly basic. So I went shopping with my little one and went to get a trolley. No trolleys, as per. And the same time I was walking up, another woman with her son was walking up to get a trolley. Same instance, no trolleys. So she's like, oh cool, I'm going to wait for a trolley for somebody to bring back a trolley. I grabbed my little one and I walked off, found one that's in one of the car park bays and that. Put a little one in it, got back into shopping and everything else, went round. The woman's still there waiting for a trolley. Now, it took me a minute or two to do something about the situation, which again, it's incredibly simple. There was out of trolleys, we'll go look for one. But in every instance of life, there'll be those types of people that choose to just stand and wait for somebody else to take action in order for them to get what they want. Now, that's a very simple metaphor for a very big life lesson. I was able to take action very simply of no real extra expense to myself, maybe a 0.5 of a calorie burn in the steps I took to find another trolley or another place where there were trolleys. But how many people do this throughout their life? That they wait for an instance for somebody else to do something so that they can carry on with their life, opposed to seeing what they can do. Again, like I could have been walking around aimlessly and not found a trolley. Doesn't matter. It beats standing around, in my eyes anyway, waiting for somebody else's actions to allow me to move again. So don't wait on other people in order for you to move your life along. That's something that so many people do. I can't do this until this or that happens, da 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 da. But the real truth of it is, you're making excuses for yourself. And we all do it. Like, yeah, it's a bit more hassle walking around a car park with a little kid trying to find a trolley than it is if you're just running around on your own or whatever else. But so standing around bored with a kid, waiting 5 or 10 minutes, hoping that somebody else has finished with a trolley. Like, so I'd always rather take the action. And again, it's not to say that taking action is always going to mean you end up with a positive result. I've done that same instance countless times and not found a trolley. But again, to me, mentally, it beats standing around and waiting for somebody else's actions to allow me to move again. At least if I'm looking around and everything else, I might see somebody returning a trolley and then I can ask them, opposed to just hoping. So do this through life. See how many instances where you're waiting for somebody else's actions to allow you to move again. And then see what you could actually do for yourself. Go look around for your own proverbial trolley. Like, there's so many instances. On the last episode I talked about starting stupid. And this ties into the exact same kind of ethos and mentality of do something. So many people are out there, how do I do this, how do I do that, how do I do that? Just start somewhere. Just take action. Don't be a deer in headlights. Whatever it is you want to do, you're not going to start out at the top of it. Accept that. Humble yourself. And start somewhere. If there's a problem that you're facing, that you're like, oh, I can't overcome this or whatever else. Okay, cool. That's fine. What can you do about it? There's more than one way to get things done. Like, there's so many instances where life, it can go on pause if you don't take no action. And really and truly, there is no pause in life. It's always moving along. So if you're standing still doing nothing, life's just passing you by. You're missing opportunities, you're missing memories, you're missing so many different things, and you don't even know it. Simply because you don't want to take action. And it's easy to say take action, I know. Trust me, I've been in situations where people have been giving me that advice and I'm like, if only you knew what that meant. But at the same time, it was also true in what they were saying. That if you stand still, nothing's going to change. And there was things that I couldn't do and barriers in my way, but there was also things that I could do. And there was things that I was able to progress with and everything else. Even with the excuses still in place, there was still progress to be made. There were still things that I could do that moved me along in life. So see where you're doing that to yourself, because I think we all do it. And again, I'm not always the doer. I'm not always the guy that looking around for the trolley. Sometimes I'm in a bad mood, or I'm lazy, or just whatever. And I want to sit and wait. And that's life. You're not always going to show up as the same version. But more often than not, I am the guy looking for the trolley. I am the proactive person. So life tends to move. At least that's how I feel. And that's what's important, is how I feel about my own life, how I feel about my life trajectory, where things are going and everything else. At the end of the day, that's what's going to determine if I feel I have a good life or a bad life, if I'm happy or sad. It all intertwines into one, where if you don't feel satisfied in any area of life, it's easy to think that all of life is bad, or let that negativity contaminate other aspects of life. But understand, it's always changing. You're always changing. It's always situational. So if you are that person that stands around and waits for somebody else to take action, you can change. You can be the proactive person. And it's not to mean that you're going to change overnight like a light switch. It's not to say that it's going to come easy. But it's to say that if you start doing something opposed to waiting for other people, you then give the power back to yourself to progress, to move on in life, to learn new things that are going to help you move on in life. None of that's going to come if you stand still. So get moving. It's only your own time you're wasting. That's such a teacher thing to say. But it's true. In this instance, if you're standing around for people to take action for you, you're wasting your own time. Because you have no control over their actions. They may say they'll get round to it. There's no saying they ever will. You're only trusting that person on their word. So really, are you going to leave your life's balance to somebody else's word? Or are you going to take control? And are you going to do something about it? It's that simple, really and truly. You can either choose to let somebody else take the action, or you can take the action yourself. If you let somebody take the action for you, you might get it done. Will you learn anything in the process? Doubt it. If you do it yourself, will you learn something in the process? More than likely. Will you get it done? Maybe, maybe not. But there's so much that can be learned in that instance, from putting yourself out there and going out and finding the opportunity for yourself and doing something rather than not. And that's it. So to save going in circles, I'm going to wrap this episode up. The biggest seed for this episode is going to be, if you're being proactive, hats off to you. If you're not, if you're waiting for other people's actions to allow you to move again, try doing something. Try being proactive. Try take control, even if it's not of the situation directly. Even if it's something just to the left of that same situation. Find it and do it. Because it's going to progress you forward from where you are. It might not be necessarily down the line that you want, but it will be a parallel. And you can cross over in time. Or you might realize that you never needed or wanted that path in the first place. But you'll only learn these things by doing them. You won't learn them by letting somebody else take the actions for you. If I took every test that you had to take in your life, how much would you learn? How much would you study? How much would you let your brain actually use its power? Well, how much would you say, John will do it? And in that complacency builds weakness. And that doesn't help anybody, yourself or anybody around you. So see what you can do. See where you can take control in your life and see how it pays forward. I promise you, if you'll start to take action, it will improve things not just for you, but for the people around you as well. All the best, and I'll catch you on the next one.